Hello everyone, this will be the 11th chapter of Regular Boy Daniel Wayne, written by Diamond Rosie and read by Insect Overlord. This chapter is titled The Father, the Son, and Dick. Bruce looked at Danny through the rearview mirror as he drove through the empty highway. "We're not mad at you, Danny," he said, stabbing through the thick atmosphere. The teen's eyes snapped up from his lap to look at the man. "Yeah, we know you didn't mean to leave your phone at home. I've forgotten my wallet so many times before work." Dick turned to smile at Danny meaningfully. "Okay," he said quietly, obviously not believing either of them. He turned to look out the window at the outstretched of nothingness that passed by them. Dick turned to give Bruce a defeated expression. This was the most quiet Danny had been since dinner with his parents. Bruce looked at him again. Danny looked lost in thought, finger dribbling on the seat rhythmically. Bruce couldn't help but be reminded of the nights he would sneak into his father's study as a child, and watch the man meander through his own mind. Alfred had never had the heart to wipe away the finger stains that marred the mahogany desk, despite keeping the study pristine since his father's death. Not sure what else to do, Bruce turns back to the road with a quiet sigh. "So, you like astronomy, Danny?" Dick tried again, putting on a cheery attitude. "Yeah," he said, barely above a mumble, not bothering to look away from the green abyss of trees and grass. "Any particular exhibit you're excited for?" Dick pushed, turning painfully in his seat. "The working model of the first manned spaceship to land on the moon, and the duplicate of the Pathfinder," Danny answered easily, a smile creeping slowly onto his face. He had finally turned to Dick. Bruce didn't miss the small relief in Dick's eyes, and how his smile grew with authenticity. "A working model?" Dick gasped, eyes growing wide. "Are you actually allowed inside?" Danny, fully forgetting any reservations he had about them earlier, moved closer to where Dick sat in the passenger seat, leaning into the conversation. "No," he smirked. "But I happen to know a guy." Dick laughed, spoken like a true Wayne. Danny scoffed in response, the full-blown smile unbudging from his face. Bruce sat a little more comfortably in his seat for the rest of the drive, content on just witnessing the conversation. Once Bruce parked the car, Dick unfastened his seatbelt, attentively listening to Danny talk about the intricacies of the spaceship as they both stretched in the open space of the parking lot. Before stepping out, Bruce dipped his head into the console for the box he stashed there earlier. Dick and Danny stood at the hood of the car waiting for him. Based on the half-empty parking lot, there probably wasn't a too large crowd inside. "Danny," Bruce called quietly. Danny turned to him as they walked closer to the entrance. Bruce hesitated, fiddling with the box in his hand Danny couldn't see. Dick raised a curious brow at him. Bruce took a steadying breath. "I got this for you." He handed Danny the neatly wrapped box. Dick gave him a look of unconcealed exasperation, and Danny looked up at him in shock as he numbly took the box, seemingly confused. "What is it?" he asked carefully, looking at the wrapping of the box. "Why don't you open it?" Bruce tried an encouraging smile. Danny braced himself as he carefully removed the decorative paper to reveal a glass watch case. Danny's jaw slackened at the sight, an expression matching Dick's. Bruce gulped, hoping he hadn't made the wrong choice. "It's a watch," Danny stated, studying the crystal top that displayed the watch carefully stored inside the otherwise frosted sides. "I'm not really sure what your taste in accessories is," Bruce prefaced, hoping his face didn't look half as constipated as he felt. "This was my father's favorite watch, and I wanted you to have it." Bruce tried for a smile. Danny's face had gone from surprised and shocked to blank, all while Bruce spoke. Not sure how the teen had taken the item, he continued nervously. "That being said, if it's not up to your standards, don't feel pressured to accept it." Maybe now had not been the time to do this. The long seconds of silence before Danny responded picked at Bruce. "No," he stated finally. Danny's voice is quiet but sure. I was just not expecting that, he confessed, finally looking up from the box to Bruce. Why are you giving this to me? He asked hesitantly. Because you're my son, Bruce answered easily, before words were lost on him again. Danny looked at him with pure bewilderment at his short explanation. Bruce turned to Dick for a sign of how this interaction was going, but he was no better help than a civilian during a plane crash. Bruce cleared his throat, finding his nerve. Before you were born, your mother and I decided on the name Thomas, after my father, and I had planned to give you his watch on your 15th birthday as his namesake. I know you don't have his name, but I still wanted you to have a part of the family with you. Bruce paused to take a breath. I know I'm a bit late, but happy 15th birthday, Danny. Danny absorbed what Bruce had said, looking back down at the vintage Pique Philippe watch. It had been personally designed for Bruce's father at the 300th year anniversary of the founding of Wayne Enterprise, then Wayne Corporation, by acclaimed designer Yusuf Hadi. Danny looked at the hand-stitched leather base and diamond-rimmed watch. The watch was older than Bruce and had never been appraised, so even he wasn't sure of his market value. Not that it would ever be seen in one, not when on the wrist of a Wayne. Thank you, Danny smiled, a heartfelt emotion in his voice. Bruce returned that emotion. Always. The trio made their way to the entrance of the planetarium, when Dick leaned into Bruce's ear. Damien's not going to be too happy about that. He gestured lightly at the car, where Danny insisted the watch be kept for now. I doubt Damien even knows about the watch, Bruce countered easily. It was not a topic of conversation they broached often. If you say so, Dick said disbelievingly. Damien may be Talia's son, but he's yours too. And so is Danny, Bruce said stubbornly. When this blows up in your face, I reserve the right to say I told you so, Dick said before walking faster to catch up with Danny. Bruce considered his words. Damien had never much interest in watches and accessories and the like. Besides, Damien was still far too young to understand the value of such things. Bruce had made the right choice in giving the watch to Danny. Dick stored away the interaction between Bruce and Danny to be better dissected later. Dick wasn't entirely sure what part of Bruce's little speech had struck a chord in Danny, but even Dick's questions about the exhibits didn't seem to get him more than a few one-word responses. Danny seemed lost in thought, an expression Dick had seen on Bruce numerous times when he cracked a case, but was still missing a crucial detail. As they walked up to the counter to buy their tickets, a young woman smiled excitedly at them. They were a long way from Gotham, but Grayson was a Grayson no matter where he was. Dick added a little bit of a bounce to his step, raking his hair back. He infused charisma in his every action as he stepped up to the counter. The woman was in her early 20s, if Dick had to guess, 23 at the latest. She had dark hair that, except for the front bangs, were secured in a neat ponytail. The woman was tall, almost to Dick's shoulder, he noticed, as she walked around the counter excitedly. Hi there, Dick started, his signature smile ready to go off his face, before he was cut off. Danny! The woman exclaimed, running over to hug the teen. Not to greet Dick, because that would be a strange thing to assume, and Dick had not thought that the pretty woman was going to ask for his number or anything. Dick subtly cleared his throat and regained himself. Bruce gave him a knowing look that he ignored. I missed you. You haven't been around that much. Hi, Olivia. Danny smiled back, his version of Brucey Wayne activating. Yeah, I've just been kind of bogged with school. How have you been? He asked cheekily. Fine, nothing new, she sighed solemnly, before turning to smile pleasantly at Bruce and Dick. Who's this? She asked Danny. He hesitated for a moment. This is Dick, and this is... Danny looked at him again before answering. Bruce. Nice to meet you. Olivia extended her hand to Bruce, who shook it. She did not do the same with Dick. You as well. How do you know Danny? Bruce inquired, as Olivia walked back behind the counter to check them in. I used to be his babysitter back when I was in high school. she said cheerfully. He would go on and on about how he would be an astronaut when he grew up, she added, giving Danny a pointed look of victory. That was a long time ago, he protested, embarrassed. 2 years is not a long time, Danny, she laughed, entertaining him as she typed into the computer. A lot can happen in 2 years. Danny's cheerful attitude, even as a facade, couldn't hold up that comment, apparently. Olivia seemed to catch what she said too late, her face instantly morphing into a somber one. Danny, I'm so sorry. Danny just shrugged, but said nothing else. Olivia turned to Bruce this time. Bruce, right? She asked hesitantly. Bruce nodded at her, not wanting Danny to be under more attention than he was comfortable with. So, how do you guys know Danny? She prompted, typing into the computer again. Oh, well, Bruce hesitated. Dick turned to Danny for a sign of how they should answer. Danny looked between them, and Olivia seemed to have sensed the tension. You know the baby swap case in Gotham? Danny started. Olivia nodded, waiting for him to elaborate. He is my father. Olivia gasped out loud, her colleagues turning to look. Holy shoot, Danny, no way! She looked between Danny and Bruce, analytically. Dick didn't miss the way Bruce had stood up straighter when Danny had said their relationship. Wait, I heard your parents are moving next week. Does that mean... She trailed off, looking between Dick and Bruce like they were going to answer for her. Neither Dick nor Bruce had properly brought up Danny moving in with them, so Dick held his breath at the insinuation. But Danny didn't seem to have the same reservations. Gotham? Yeah, probably, he said easily. You're moving to Gotham? She repeated, surprised. Danny turned to Bruce hesitantly. Bruce was quick to step closer and put a reassuring hand on Danny's shoulder. We're happy to have him, he said confidently. You need to tell me these things, Danny, Olivia chided. Be careful. I don't want to see you turn into a Batman villain. Danny looked affronted. What makes you think I'm going to? People as smart as you in Gotham have a streak of turning into villains eventually, Olivia insisted, humorously. We'll take care of him, don't worry, Dick laughed easily, nudging Danny playfully. Besides, Adam lives in Gotham, so it can't be that bad, Danny snarked back easily. A blush crept across Olivia's face. She turned back to Bruce. Can I have your last name, please? For the forms, she asked, slipping back into her work to avoid the direction the conversation was taking. Ah, yes, Bruce cleared his throat. Dick coughed to hide his growing smile. W-A-Y-N-E. Olivia typed the letters as Bruce spelled out his name. Dick waited for the realization to click. Wayne? She read aloud, laughing lightly to herself. Just like Bruce... Her smile fell. You said you're from Gotham, she asked hesitantly. Bruce only nodded. Oh, she squeaked. Dick thought the exhibits were quite fun, especially listening to Danny excitedly explain all the displays and diagrams. Danny snuck him and Dick into the life-sized model rocket like he had promised, while Bruce was on the lookout so they wouldn't get in trouble. It was pretty late into the night when they were finally ready to leave. Bruce and Dick walked on either side of Danny as he walked through the dark and only slightly creepy parking lot to where Bruce had parked the car. Well, 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 if it isn't Fenton. A voice behind them snarked with venom in his tone. Dick jumped at the sudden voice, not at all having noticed someone behind them, instinctively slipping into a fighting stance. Bruce, next to him, seemed just as alarmed as Dick. Danny, ironically, seemed like he had almost expected the boy, carelessly turning around to face his potential assaulter. Hey, dude, Danny raised an amused brow at him. Surprisingly, the boy's venomous demeanor seemed to slip away instantly. Where have you been? He drawled weepily, his fire-struck red hair waving dramatically in the night wind. You haven't been around in forever, he complained. Dick, assessing the boy enough to reason he wasn't a threat, relaxed into a more casual stance. I literally saw you last week, Danny sighed. Last week was forever ago, the boy insisted stubbornly. The spiky-haired teen finally seemed to notice Dick and Bruce, and he eyed them with curiosity. Who's that? His tone was more regulated now, wary. "This is Bruce, Dick." He pointed to each of them as he introduced them to his friend. The boy eyed them both. It was the same look Dick had seen many times when they tried to figure out if the people in front of them were the same ones from the covers of their magazines. Realization dawned on him soon enough. "Holy crap, Danny, that's—" Danny quickly intercepted the rather loud announcement with a firm hand over the boy's mouth. "Keep it on the down low, man," Danny hissed quietly into the amber-eyed boy's ear. Bruce and Dick chuckled at the exchange. Danny said something else in a lower tone, but neither of them could catch what it was. After the brief exchange, they turned back to Bruce and Dick. "Nice to meet you. I'm Dick." Dick smiled, holding out his hand to shake. Danny's friend took it, starry-eyed. "I'm Bruce, as Danny told you." Bruce followed his lead. "Cool," the boy whistled, looking between the two. Danny turned to him after a long beat of silence. "This is the part where you introduce yourself." Right. I'm—" A momentary pause. "Michael Schumacher." "Like the F1 driver?" Dick asked, confused. "Yup." "Clearly not," Michael Schumacher said proudly, puffing his chest. "Dude, seriously?" Danny facepalmed. "You're not even German." "You don't know that." The teen huffed back. "His name is Lucas," Danny supplied, with an exhausted sigh. "You can call me Luke," the boy said happily, forgetting his earlier disappointment of not being the legendary racer. "Anyway, I gotta go. Catch you later." Dick made the mistake of blinking. Luke seemed to disappear into thin air. Where did he go? "I wouldn't worry about it too much." Danny waved easily, already walking to the car. Bruce looked around alarmed before hesitantly joining them. Meeting Luke had definitely been a strange encounter, though many things about Danny seemed quite strange. But none were as weird as the dinner they had found themselves at Vlad Master's estate. This concludes Chapter 11 of Regular Boy Daniel Wayne. I hope you enjoyed this one. The next chapter should be up soon. Thank you so much for listening.